And a good goddamn afternoon to everybody watching. Gosh, yeah, I'm always checking to make sure that all the systems are going and everything's running. So we are. It's Saturday. It's Valentine's Day, or in this house, Halloween. So we hope everyone's having a nice. The dog and I, hope everyone is having a perfectly lovely Valentine's Day. Never been a real important day here, but it is. This is a terrible day to be a waitress or a waiter, server. Terrible, like the worst. Oh, you have a million tables. It's all two tops, and yeah, it's a rough day to work in restaurants. Anyway, but nonetheless, I hope that everybody going out as a couple has a genuinely fantastic time. And please tip like gangsters, because the people bringing you your stuff are working their asses off and they would really rather be somewhere else. So, speaking of Valentine's Day, I'm not one, as I said, to celebrate it. Never really had much of a reason to, because I'm terminally single. But I did go out yesterday. I recorded Scott Galloway's No Mercy, No Malice. By the way, did you guys catch there is a special episode of Pivot today with Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher, and I was a guest on today's show. We recorded it, was it last week? I think sometime. It's a Valentine's Day episode, and it was the Newlywed Game, really, is what they put together. It was really fun. The producers put together some really fun questions, and I got to be Bob Eubanks. And for those of you under the age of 45 or even 50, you might not know who Bob Eubanks was. I think Bob Eubanks is still around, long retired, but Bob Eubanks was one of the quintessential 70s sort of game show hosts. He was Newlywed Game, and he was also host of a show, I want to say the early 80s, called Card Sharks, a game show. And there were probably others. I don't remember. But I got to be Bob Eubanks to Kara and Scott's newlywed types, even though they're not newlyweds. And I asked them questions to just sort of test their knowledge of one another, to see how well they knew or know each other. And when I wanted it to be a surprise to them, because I was told that Kara and Scott didn't necessarily know that I was going to be the host. They knew that they were recording a special segment for Valentine's Day. They really didn't know what. I think Kara might have had a clue, but they did not know who it was going to be. The fact that it was me was a total surprise. And so when you log into a live recording of a podcast from remote, you enter your name and you kind of put into this sort of digital waiting room, as it were. And then the producer or the host it's like a Zoom call. It's exactly like a Zoom call, actually. And then the host lets you in. So instead of putting my real name, when you enter your name to go into the waiting room for the session, I used the drag name of my old friend, John Delarocco. I knew him in Boston. He and his then boyfriend, Michael, they were managers of these nightclubs that I worked in. And John had a drag name that he used a couple of times, named Fresca von Cameltoe. Genius. John was incredibly funny and smart. Now that I'm talking about him, I'm wondering what he's doing now. I haven't seen him in years. But his drag name was Fresca von Cameltoe. So that was the name I put in when I went in to be a surprise guest presence on Pivot with Scott and Kara. So yeah, that's me, Fresca von Cameltoe. And it was fun. And so that, if you're a listener to Pivot, you heard that. It would have been in your feed this morning. It's also on YouTube, and I'll put it in the show notes here on Substack. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's there. The Pivot podcast with Scott and Kara. But so I went down to Vox Media yesterday, as I do every Friday afternoon, to record Scott Galloway's weekly edition of No Mercy, No Malice, his weekly newsletter. And that all went fine and good. Although yesterday I felt really off my game recording the verbiage, because actually the trick of recording Scott's thing, and I would imagine it's a trick of a lot of audiobooks, really, where you are reading text that was written to be read, not necessarily written to be spoken. So the challenge is to take text that was written to be read and make it sound natural and conversational, and it isn't always. And yesterday there were a couple of tricky paragraphs and turns of phrases and series and diphthongs and all manner of verbal somersaults. So I had to stop and restart a couple of sentences and do a couple of what we call pickups in the business. So if you fuck up something, or if you need to take something again, the producer will keep a document like off to the side of lines that she or he, but my producers are young women, would like me to record again. And so there you have it. What else can I tell you? So that went well. That was all fine, ultimately. And then I met my friend Mary Jean for a little pre-Valentine's Day lunch, because we're both single mingles. And we went to one of my favorite little hideaways that not a lot of people know about, and I really want to keep it that way. That's why I'm going to talk about it live. But at Bergdorf Goodman's men's store, not the main store on 58th and 5th on the southwest corner of that intersection, but across the street on the southeast corner of 58th and 5th is Bergdorf Goodman Men's, or as some people call it, Goodman's, which I think is actually a very good sort of rebrand of it. But anyway, it's the men's, and downstairs, the first floor is accessories and shoes and fragrances and hats and some casual stuff. I think if they sell any bags, that stuff is down there. Sunglasses, gloves, stuff like that. That's on the first floor, street level, and fragrances. And then on the second floor is the tailoring, like designers who have offered tailoring, like Tom Ford, Brioni, Brunello Cucinelli, Giorgio Armani, things like that. That's on the second floor. And the third floor of Bergdorf Goodman Men's is designer, like fashion. Like that's where the fashion is. All the fashion is on the third floor. But second floor is like more my speed. Tom Ford, Ralph Lauren, not that I can afford it. I'm just like, it's my taste. So also on the second floor, kind of hidden away, even as you get off the elevator, it's kind of right there. It's called Goodman's Bar. And it's a bar. You can sit there, but they also have tables, little banquettes on either side of the bar and just outside the bar. I think at peak capacity, that place accommodates maybe, 30 people. And it's open store hours, so I think it closes at like 5. So it's a place for like a power lunch or a little high tea for yourself. So you can have cocktails or whatever, but there's coffee, tea, beverages, and they have a menu, like a sort of a really cool, delicious, not cheap. I mean, we're talking about Bergdorf Goodman here, but cool lunch menu. There's a burger, there's a lobster roll, but there's also some pasta, I think, there. Really smart salads. I had one of the salads. Mary Jean had another. We split a shrimp cocktail because why not? And then what else did we get? Chips. They don't have fries, but they have potato chips. Or if you're British, crisps. Delicious. So we had that. And then one of their desserts, I don't know if it's on the menu or what, but we treated ourselves further with a very light dessert, freshly baked madeleines. They were really delicious. That was like angel cake, man. So some freshly baked madeleines right out of the oven. And I had a little cafe Americano, and we walked around the store a little bit, did a little lap, and then Mary Jean and I went up to, we walked up Fifth a little bit and then cut over to Ralph Lauren. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about, because I was thinking about it yesterday, I am not, all right, this is the kind of gay I am not. If you want to torture me, you will say, George, let's go shopping. Or George, yeah, we're going to go shopping. Come with us. The really great way. I would rather watch sports like that. Really, like I'm not wrong gay. I'm not. I just find it like there's so many things I'd rather do with my time. Some people enjoy that. I do not. That's not to say I don't enjoy a little retail therapy now and then, but I am not one generally who enjoys lingering around a store, just sort of looking for something for me or for my life, just to sort of fill some void. Like I'm not for that. What I do, that's not to say I don't like wearing nice clothes, because I do, but my shopping is a bit more ninja-like in that I may see something in a catalog online or an email or something that I like, and I will find it and get it. I'm not one, rarely do I find myself wandering around a retail experience and enjoying myself as I peruse random items. But anyway, so MJ and I went over to the Ralph Lauren store, like the Ralph Lauren store, the flagship on Madison and 72nd in the Rhinelander mansion. And I gotta say this, among all of the designers I really enjoy, I mean, Ralph Lauren is one of my favorites. You know, I think Tom Ford has, well, before he sold the brand, but Tom Ford built a really great brand for himself before selling it. And there are others too. Like I enjoy Brioni, Kitone, Brunello Cucinelli. I mean, Madison Avenue, the best shopping, really. I mean, if you're into it, if you have the money, whatever, is on Madison Avenue. Sid Mashburn, you know. But the reason I'm talking about this now, as someone who generally really does not like shopping, I do, on the other hand, enjoy going into the Ralph Lauren store on 72nd and Madison, because that retail experience is unlike any other for men, I think, than anywhere else, certainly in New York, that I have ever seen. That's not to say there aren't some that are nice. You know, like I was thinking about this morning. I like Todd Snyder, for example. I think does a banging job making very accessible, wearable, handsome clothes, or he curates, because he also does collabs with other brands and stuff. So he's got a great eye, and he curates and designs a collection of things that I find, you know, attractive and wearable. But would I call the Todd Snyder store like an amazing transformative retail experience, like physically being in that space? No. I mean, it's fine, but it's not, it doesn't blow me away. The Ralph Lauren store, however, blows me away. That store is and it's men's. The women's is across the street in the same building where Ralph's Cafe is. That store, the men's store in the mansion, the Rhinelander mansion, is like it transports you when you go in. It has a smell to it that is, I'm sure, very deliberate. The lighting, you doesn't matter what time of day or evening. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is the sun out? It's like being in a casino. You can kind of lose track of what day or time, what time of day it is. It is so handsome and glamorous and warm. It doesn't feel like a store. It feels like you're in someone's mansion and they just happen to have a bunch of really hot clothes laying around, like beautifully displayed. It is a singular retail experience, unlike any other that I've ever experienced. And that's not to say, as I said, like there are other stores that I find okay. Bergdorf Goodman Men is I like that store. I mean, it's a good experience for the male shopper. Another one that a lot of people don't love talking about, or it seems to get kind of forgotten, is Paul Stewart. That store is kind of fantastic. I love that store. Brooks Brothers used to be Jenny Blitz. Look at this, you guys. I have some very generous followers, and Jenny Blitz right there, a little super sticker. She's watching over on YouTube. Jennifer Blitz. Well, I've never called you Jennifer. I took a liberty there. I apologize if you hate that iteration of your name. So I'll just go with Jenny Blitz as you call yourself here. You are extremely generous. Thank you very much for that. Paul Stewart is a really nice taste level, and I think as men's stores go, that's a pretty exceptional retail experience. Bergdorf Men, as I said, but like the crown, and always will go to Ralph Lauren. Now you can go all the way to the 5th floor, or maybe it's the 4th floor, where the Ralph gets into his like sort of country western Americana vibe, which is a moment I've never really been totally into. Like it's okay, but Ralph has that kink, and that it works. Like even the elevators on that floor, like the wood on the doors of the elevators on that floor are very much in that style. Like the dressing rooms, they all adopt the style, the interior design, the look and feel and flavor of whatever space. There's working fireplaces in this place. It's like, it is truly exceptional, the Ralph Lauren store. And everybody who ever goes into retail and merchandising should spend time in there, because the Ralph Lauren store on 72nd and Madison, the men's store, is a masterclass in retail and merchandising. It is such a great experience. Runners up, as I said, but like not close even, but runners up or second and third would be Bergdorf Goodman and Paul Stewart. I wear a lot of Suit Supply just because that's closer to my budget. Like I'm not a rich person. Suit Supply makes great suits at a very approachable price point. The store, it's not a great. It's very cold. Thank you, Colleen. Look at that. A longtime Patreon or first time super chatter. Look at her. Thanks, Colleen. I appreciate that. I like Suit Supply's clothes, but the retail experience, the store, it's like, it's okay. It's a store. It doesn't rock my world. All the kids who work there are nice. I mean, I've always had a perfectly good service there. But just in terms of design, it's very much a store and cold. Brooks Brothers, before Brooks Brothers fucked up, when Brooks Brothers had its flagship store on Madison and across from Paul Stewart, I want to say 45th, or is it 44th? The Brooks Brothers store in that building, which I believe is going to be torn down, when it was alive and kicking in that original store, God, that store was amazing. It had several floors of retail, and then top floors was offices and tailoring. Like that's where your clothes were being altered. Yeah, it's a real shame. I also I like J Press. I'm going to the J Press show, their first runway show on Monday. I'm looking forward to that, but I love J Press. But the store is like, it's okay. It's okay. But anyway, yeah. I just wanted to talk about that on Valentine's Day for no particular reason, really, other than retail was on my mind because I was looking at some emails. And I just thought I love going into that Ralph Lauren store. Like it's actually something that could get me across town. If someone says, "Do you want to go do a lap through Ralph Lauren, see what's new there, and then go get a quick snack at Via Quadrano or go get a coffee at Ralph's?" Sure, I'm down for that. Or Sid Mashburn, that's another one. Anyway, I'm not really equipped. I mean, I have there are some nice women who follow me and watch and stuff. I don't have much to say about women's. I get asked about it all the time. I'm the wrong guy for that conversation. I'm not. Again, I generally don't like shopping, and especially I'm not interested in shopping women's wear. Like I'm wrong gay. Sorry. I don't fit the mold there. I've had people in my life who just sort of make that assumption. Well, you're gay. I mean, I can take you shopping with me. Nope. No, you can't. No, you want to drive me nuts? You want to end this friendship real fast? Make that assumption and we'll see how much longer we stay on the Christmas card list, because no, that is torture to me. Musical theater too. Like, I like musicals, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a musical theater gay, but I do appreciate a good musical. It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Yeah. Like, I have friends who love musical theater, and some of the musicals they like, make me scratch my head a little bit. I'm like, really? That worked for you? Although I do think one of my favorite Broadway shows ever happens to be a musical. A Chorus Line. I saw it in the original run. It was amazing. So anyway, that's enough of that shit. I've talked too long. I just wanted to jump on here and also do a test run, because I keep going back and forth about which microphone setup I'm using, and I think I'm sticking with this one. I think it sounds pretty good, and it's unobtrusive. Quick note before we go. I did start last night I watched a couple of episodes of Love Story, the John Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette story on FX, or it's streaming on Hulu, whatever I've got. Here's the thing, and this is my little mini half-assed amateur unprofessional review of that show, and I'm 2 episodes in. They got the period perfectly, like the actors, the guy who plays John, I've never seen him before, and the young woman who plays Carolyn. I saw her. She was in the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, and she also played the younger version of my cousin Catherine Hahn in some show. I forget what. I think it was a show, and she's good. So my problem is not with them. I just think that their performances are better than the material. I think the writing is dull. Like, the show looks great. It's a beautiful production. I was in New York at that time, like in that period. I remember the day waking up to the news that John's plane had gone, like they were searching. I met John once, actually. I met John Kennedy when I was working at Joe Allen. I was behind the bar. I was a bartender there. And my friend Marianne and I were working behind the bar, and John came in with a bunch of friends. It was a busy night, and they were standing at the end of the bar. They had a couple of bar stools, but John let his friends take the available stools while he stood and struck up a nice chat. I was in my mid-20s at the time, mid to late 20s. And yeah, John was maybe 10 years older than me. Anyway, I remember him asking me where I was from. Busy night. Asked my opinion on some of the dishes that he was on the menu. He did eat. I think he had a bowl of pasta. And nice guy. Anyway, the show, and I liked his magazine, George, because it made politics accessible and entertaining. It was the first publication that I can think of that ever did that, because the political conversation until John Kennedy's magazine, the political conversation felt like something for an exclusive club of people. But John created something that was more accessible, entertaining, and invited you in if you weren't engaged before, and invited anybody in to care. Anyway, the show, back to the show. God, I'm really good at digressing. It's well produced. It looks great. The kids playing John and Carolyn are great. For some reason, the showrunner or creator just really hates Daryl Hannah, because Daryl Hannah, John was dating her at the time when he met Carolyn. Daryl Hannah is made out to be the biggest pain in the ass. God. Anyway, it's boring. I guess that's my review. It's a great looking show. It's also, I think, bummer porn because we know how this story ends and it's really tragic. So there's that anxiety going into it. So no surprise where this all ends up because it's history, it's historic record. But and the kids look good. I mean, the casting's good. The clothes are like perfect. That God, she was that Calvin Klein girl, man. Carolyn, she really had that look. And oh, and I have a friend in it. My friend Eric Bergen plays Anthony Radswell, John's cousin. Anthony Radswell died later of cancer. He's married to I know his widow, Carol. She's fantastic. And but yeah, I just it's something you can almost half watch. There's some nice moments in there. There's like their first dinner date scene. There were some moments I kind of believe it. Like I believe her anxiety about this, and it does have some interesting things to say about what it's like befriending or entering the life of someone who is ultra famous, because you got to remember John Kennedy was the son of a president. He was American royalty, as close as we'll ever get to American royalty anyway. And I mean, every room he entered, like the temperature changed. And so to forget Mary, dating someone like with that vibe, that's a lot to take on. So it has some interesting things to say about that thus far. But all in though, God, this dialogue is dull. Like it's dull. And you really like showrunners, like people, we hear this all the time when you watch a show and you're just like you're an episode or even 2 episodes in and you're like and people who've seen the whole thing, they're like, it really picks up in episode 3 or 4. You shouldn't have to say that. It should pick up in episode 1. Like you got to get people early. We shouldn't have to wait to be pulled in. Like it should happen at hello, you know. So some comments here. Susie says he John, he rollerbladed past me in Central Park in those little floaty black shorts. Yeah. And the hair flowing. Yeah, his hair was either out or he loved to wear the Kangol or the baseball cap backwards. Like, yeah. The paparazzi was relentless. They lived on North Moore Street, right next to Walker's. I love Walker's. It's one of my favorite restaurants in the city. Certainly one of my favorite places to eat. In Tribeca. Casual. Yeah. But George hasn't talked about heated rivalry. I've talked about heated rivalry. I will say this quickly, and I'll dig into it later at another time. What I like about heated rivalry is that it's the first time as a gay man that I have watched a show about my people where there's not a tragic or pathetic character. Gays are always painted in tragic or pathetic colors. And this is the first time we see 2 attractive leading men who happen to be gay, hot for each other in a very sex positive moment. Like it's very basic instinct minus the ice pick, very basic instinct in its explicit sexuality, which is really refreshing in a very asexual moment in our society. But these guys are hot. They're gay. They're winners. Like they're at the top of their field. They have nice houses. They have nice life. They have nice lifestyles. And they're not tragic or pathetic. They're winners. And as gay men, we never get to see that. No one's committing suicide. No one's you know what I mean? Like, because that's usually like you're waiting for the hit. Kara said it once. Swisher said it once on a show. Like we're waiting for the hit. That doesn't happen here. And it's nice. Never see it before. So thumbs up. That's some of the dialogue is a little like, but by and large, heated rivalry is remarkable on that score and a few others. So yeah, their chemistry is great too. All right, I'm going to shut the fuck up, you guys. How does a half an hour go by this fast? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys are subscribing on YouTube, fantastic. And thanks for the donations. If you guys are on Substack, I love you more than my luggage. And if you're a paid subscriber, I want to hook up with you. So thank you for being a paid subscriber. You make it all kind of happen. So I'm gonna tap out here. Make it something to eat. I'm a little hungry, and enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. All right, see ya.